Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. In this video, I am going to install a Linux distribution that is designed for games. What I plan on doing, I have a pre-built HP desktop computer. I mostly play consoles, but I want to convert that over the PC that I have. I want to convert it over to Linux. Now, I'm doing this video on my testing station. It's not on the PC itself because I want to figure out what I'm going to do with that before I install anything like that. With the past few years, gaming on Linux is on the rise. It's a lot streamlined. If you go into your local Dave & Buster's, the games are going to be running either or. First, some of the games will be running Linux. Second of all, some of the games will be running Windows. Mac OS X is not part of that deal. So, without further ado, let's check the BIOS here. Make sure everything is still the way I need it. Alright, it is. So, and I'm testing this one out. And what's nice about this one, Linux in particular, is you could set it up the way you need. Like, hey, this distribution is just for office work. This distribution is just for gaming. This distribution is to watch movies. It's not like Windows where they say, here, this is what we have, you deal with it kind of thing. And that is the problem with Windows. It's basically, this is what it is, you deal with it. With Linux, you do have to deal with it, but you download to what you need. Let me put it in a little bit of perspective, right? You're a customer at a store, right? You want this particular item, but the store doesn't have it. Since I worked in customer service for a really long time, I just thought of this today. Customers are like Linux. They want what they want, and they want it this way. I wish I would have realized that when I was working. But the store is like, hey, we don't have it. This is what we have. You deal with it. That's the Windows way. So this operating system is called Drauger OS. This particular distribution does not have Office programs. It does not have audio-video editing software. It's basically just to run games. Now, this particular distribution is an AMD ISO. AMD is the processor. So, a lot of times when you download Linux, you download it based on your processor. Now, I've had a few Linux distributions where I've installed it on an Intel machine, and it actually worked. It didn't work very well, but it worked because the architecture of the processors are different from each other. And the thing that I'm running into right now is my PC used to play games is different. It has an Intel processor. Unfortunately, this is set up for AMD. So I will try to run it. Of course, I'll back everything up and do that. Now, you ask yourself, why are you doing that? Okay, the PS4 runs Linux. When you go through the menu and all that, it's running Linux. New modern hardwares, it's all Linux. Uh, Linux actually runs the world, believe it or not. So hopefully, I hear my drive going crazy, so that should work. And I've been wanting to do this for a really long time, but that's why I test everything out. You test the software you want to use out, because I know Linux. I'm not as good as other people, but in a Windows, I could tell you, in a Windows environment, I could tell you what works basically off the top of my head. Now in a Linux, I can't because I don't have as much experience with Linux. So what I'm doing is basically setting it up like that. All right. So right now I'm in the live CD. And unfortunately there is a exclamation point on the battery icon because this computer is a desktop. So what I want to do is we're going to look at it first. Now mind you, this is still a live CD. Oh, it does have Office stuff. I thought it did not. So you have accessories, you have games, you have multimedia, you have network. You do have Office on here. I thought it did not. That was my mistake. So what I want to do is I want to install it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my window.exe, which is Windows. We're going to set it up, so I should say I am going to set it up so I can run the Windows games on here. So before we do that, let's look at all the stuff. Compton. I find that funny because I'm in Los Angeles and there's a city called Compton. WinTracks. This is good right here. This is called Wine Tricks. Wine, I know I say this in another video, it stands for Wine is not an emulator. What it does is it puts the registry section in your Linux distribution so you can install Windows software and have it run. Let's go to Office. It's just a document viewer. Firefox web browser. A lot of Linux distributions come with Steam. An old operating system called Steam OS, and now you could take a computer and make it a dedicated Steam box. From what I know, it is discontinued, from what I know. Alright, so what do you have here? Additional drivers, advanced network, Bluetooth adapters. My gaming machine does have a Bluetooth adapter, so this will work on it. Power manager, all that good stuff. So this is set up for what I need, so I'm going to close it. And there's nothing to this, and it's very, very nice that there's nothing to this, because the less you have on the operating system, the less memory it's going to use. So there's something in Linux, there's something called a repository. That's where all the software is held. So I accidentally clicked the wrong thing here. So I am going to install Drauger OS. Now I want something that's a little more stable than this seems to be. Which is okay. Okay, so I guess I was not. So I'm going to click exit here. Now let's see if Control Delete works. No, that is a Windows specific thing, but I just like to see if it works. So what I am going to do now, since we went through the operating system and looked at it, this is on an SSD, by the way, that I'm going to be installing that. I just never disconnected it. It could be run on a spinner or the SSD. So what I'm going to do is I am going to do a hard shutdown here. Count to 10, we're going to boot it back up, and when the computer reads the disk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to initialize the setup program. So here we go. Alright. So I just realized you can't do that. So we're going to go back in. I will come back when this is fully booted. Okay, we are back up and running. So I had a little bit with the installer, but it did say it was in beta version. Now we're going to try it again. I'm going to do the quick install option. I'm used to doing it in Windows the way you would do that, so that's why I did it. So we're going to do a quick install. I'm not going to do that. We're going to do automatic partitioning. Manual partition in Linux, which means you can, just like in Windows, I can manually size the partition I want to use. what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be deleting everything here. So I have to apply the pending operations, and it did it successfully. Yes. This comes in a lot of languages here. English. America. For this system. Okay. What is this? I don't even know what model keyboard this is. Just a generic keyboard. Let me look. No, it's not saying anything. English US. English US. We'll just go with Logitech for now. So now I'm going to be able to install it. So here we go. You can see what it's doing. Let me see. Alright, it is at 0% right now. So this is what it looks like when something fails. But anyway, I am going to end the video right here. So anyway, that is it for this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and click that bell for more notifications.